probably have some homies that are like, you can't do a pod with this guy if he thinks KD's going to win MVP, right?
He's out there looking like he's, Alpo from paid in full. And you got to look at the kid. You're like, damn, does he really have Ace's best interest in mind, right?
You got Coach K saying he's the most prepared freshman in Duke history.
Let's be honest, like, who wants to go to Utah, right?
It could be one of the worst trades in a long time.
I assumed Matt would have came off the top because he loves Steph so much and just blown 60 mil off rip.
So the only benefit to choosing Steph would be that you and I would get to play with him in the season because there wouldn't be any money left.
I'm going Angel Reese. I'm playing, not Caitlin Clark. We're going Caitlin Clark.
Go back to when Shaq and Chuck were killing him on his hairline a few years ago, and then he came back with his head shaved. He just doesn't get a whole lot of respect.
Yeah, his hairline was terrible. Let's just get that out the way. He had like the homie the clown joint. His hairline was.
He got the slow-mo hairline, or pretty close to it. But when you said Charlotte Hornets, it reminded me of the girl I had, the first girl I ever had a crush on. So if anyone listens, they might remember because how many people had an all-black Charlotte Hornets starter jacket?
We got to find her.
In Jersey, man, you're getting robbed for that. You have a starter jacket on, or a pair of J's.
Then we won't get into what Charles Barkley says about San Antonio, but the arena itself.
Yeah, if you haven't watched it, go Google what Chuck says about San Antonio. I'm not going to say it on here.
Not on this pod, but he's not a fan.
Welcome to the Can't Teach Taste podcast, starring Todd, Tomlinson, and Matt Ghanem. Todd, man, super hyped today. Got a bunch of good topics we're going to go through, talk about some reactions to the last one, man.
Ruffled some feathers last time, brother.
You see I got my rah-rah room shirt on, bro. They hit me up, and they were very upset with what I had to say about it, to be honest, which was surprising because we don't have a whole lot of looks on this thing yet. But, They gave me this Lululemon rah-rah room shirt and wanted me to support, the mission of what they're doing, which is crazy. But that's what happened, man,
They come in peace, bro.
They did come in peace, man. What's crazy is there was a lot of blowback from the last episode. Obviously, we dug into the Suns, Matt Ishbia in the last 4 to 5 years, what's been going on. And the rah-rah room in general, which Todd has his Carbone Fine Food shirt on, right? So he's repping the rah-rah room as well. Most people outside of Phoenix agreed that Matt Ishbia is, not doing a great job at best, right? Especially, I grew up in the Washington, D.C. area, so every Wizards fan can't believe that he would have traded for Bradley Beal with a no-trade clause, making $50 million a year. I think he's like a 2 or 3-time All-Star, right? Could he give you 30? Sure. Should he make, the same amount as Book, K, Steph, Bron, anyone like that, and have a no-trade clause at the same time?
Hell no.
Bro, come on. So in Phoenix, it was a little bit mixed. There's a lot of people that I think know Ishbia personally. So I think that was part of some of it, obviously they're boys with him or, they work with him, some extent. Obviously he has a huge mortgage network. So there's a lot of folks that I know in that industry. So there was definitely some feedback that was counter to what most gave outside of the market. They say that he's doing it. He'll do anything to win, and he's learning. That he's going to figure it out. A lot of the Suns fans that don't have an into him, I would say, agree that he's struggling mightily. What are we going to do here? We have a bunch of shooting guards. We don't have a point guard. We'll talk about the draft in a second, but now we have, multiple bigs in Phoenix, which is huge. One of which, if anyone saw that Rich Paul video that you sent me where Rich is telling Matt, hey man, I'm going to make some phone calls to see if our boy from Duke's going to fall to you. And obviously we could debate on whether or not Rich Paul, could say, hey, don't draft my guy. He wants to go to Phoenix because he said it was his preferred destination, or if he was just checking to see if they needed to trade up, right? But I will say every rah-rah room member that I know hit me up and agreed that, I'm supposed to be speaking nicely now, but that they didn't prioritize their membership, and that obviously nobody agrees that the spicy rigatoni is comparable to Vegas or
Not
Miami or
close.
Dallas even, which is a grave site, right? Dallas is, but the food there is consistent. So, what do you think of that Rich Paul clip?
Rich Paul, he's a powerful dude, right? And it's just an insight in, you get to take a peek into the window of just the inner workings of the draft and agents trying to finagle their players to go certain places. And when I saw the clip at first, I'm like, Rich Paul is just pulling the strings. And now I was trying to figure out maybe he was just making calls to see who was drafting who, to give Ishbia and the Suns some intel on whether they needed to draft up. But either way, the Suns lucked out with him falling to them at 10. They needed a center in the worst way, and they got him. And I've seen a lot of comps for him. I think best case scenario, they think he's a rim protector and could be as good as like a Rudy Gobert, a lob threat. Obviously, they needed a presence, really bad, and they doubled down and traded for Mark Williams, which I thought was bizarre. Yeah, as the Suns, and you're terrible. You're trying to figure it out. You're trying to build your team the right way, and you're giving up more draft assets to get another center when you just drafted a high-level center at 10, which didn't make much sense. But I think it's a good landing spot for Malawach. If I'm saying his name correctly, I might be butchering that. But great year at Duke. He's young. I think he's only been playing basketball since he was 14, 15 years old. So a lot of upside for the guy. But the Suns got lucky there. I think that was the best case scenario. I think they didn't think that he would be there, but I think Rich Paul wanted his guy to go there because he knows he has a chance to play right away. So it's a good spot for him, and because of that, I think that they had a really good draft.
Yeah, I thought it was, to your point, to trade essentially 2 first-round picks for Mark Williams when you already got lucky enough to have homie from Duke fall to you, and it wasn't beforehand. Was a little strange. Obviously, you don't want to play this rookie day one with this, little experience starting on a team that you have aspirations of winning some games, obviously, right? You have Book in his prime. And of course you still have Nick Richards. So, what happens there? So now we have 3 7-footers, I suppose, but, maybe not 3 that you want to play. So that was interesting. And before we get into the rest of the draft, Todd asked me to give a hot take on, for next season, right? And
this, let me just say, this got more, you got more heat for this maybe than even the rah-rah room take.
I did.
For those that don't know, I was getting blown up left and right after the last pod about this hot take Matt had last podcast. But I'll let you run with it, man. Yeah, you can change your take, man. You're allowed to change your mind.
Oh well, you can change your mind. You probably have some homies that are like, you can't do a pod with this guy if he thinks KD's going to win MVP, right?
Yeah, dude,
obviously, I don't think KD's going to. Of course, obviously, I don't actually think KD's going to win the MVP. I would love if he did, but I mean, you told me to give a hot take after you said Shea was going to win the MVP, so it's just like I was trying to go as far opposite as possible. I think a more legitimate hot take would be Anthony Davis wins MVP because A, he has to stay healthy, B, he has to integrate into this new team. That he never actually really played with Kai, and then obviously Cooper Flagg comes in, so it's very different. I think KD will have a great season, and I think he'll probably exceed what people think. I mean, are you going to win an MVP at 37? Probably not. But what if the Rockets win 65 games and KD averages 27? I don't think that will be the best season. Jokic will have the best season like he always does. But anyway, so I don't actually think KD can win MVP. I don't think it's possible. But you said give a hot take, and I love that. Was it? So I did that, and I deserve to take it on that one. But I will say, KD will have a better season than people think. That's not really a hot take, though. You know what I mean? So
I think some people, think that KD is, he's always integrating into a new system again. But his talent, his game transcends all that. So I think he's gonna have a good season too.
I mean, I watched eye test this season. I mean, KD was still KD the whole season. I mean, he still gives 30. I mean, he scored 30 so many nights, and it's so easy for him. And his team is, this team is better than it was in Brooklyn. This team's better than it was in Phoenix. He hasn't had this good of a team in 7 or 8 years. So, I think they're looking for a veteran presence. They're looking for someone that could just get you a bucket. So I think a lot of that's going to fall on him, and so I think he'll convert in a lot of those moments. So it should be interesting. Assuming he stays healthy.
Yeah, awesome. Well, hey man, let's get into the draft. As expected, I think that the first two picks were chalk for the most part. We had Cooper Flagg going one. He's gonna. I think Cooper Flagg's gonna have a great career in the NBA. These have an impact right away. I think one thing about Cooper Flagg is I think there's a lot of room for growth with all these players when it comes to skill level and just the difference between college and the NBA. But his motor is so high, and that's one thing that doesn't need development. So he can defend. I've heard people call him a generational talent. I don't know about that, quite honestly. Generational talent to me, I'm thinking of LeBron, I'm thinking of Steph, I'm thinking of KD. I don't know if I see that in Cooper Flagg, but I see a really good, solid player who is going to defend at a high level, high motor, and is going to come in and make an impact on a really good Dallas team, already. So I love the pick. You had to pick Cooper Flagg. I think he's going to have a long career. He's going to be a great player. I think he'll be an all-star type player. Generational, I don't think so, but you don't need him to be. So, how do you feel about Cooper Flagg? And maybe what's one player, I guess currently that you would compare him to?
That's a tough comparison. Obviously, I feel like Cooper Flagg. You have to take Cooper Flagg. I mean, he's kind of been prominent for the last few years. He's only 18 years old. You got Coach K saying he's the most prepared freshman in Duke history, essentially, and that's saying something for sure. I mean, he's 6'9", shoots the ball, dribbles the ball, goes to the hole, plays defense, can shoot the mid range. And to your point, motor and effort is A1, which is paramount in someone that's growing. I also think that drafting him in with Anthony Davis and Kyrie, and Clay, people that have been through a lot, and he's going to get to see a lot. He's not going to have to be a point a night scorer in the beginning. He has probably no chance to win Rookie of the Year based on that because he doesn't have to, right? So there's going to be a lot of opportunity for him to learn. A comp for him is kind of tough, man.
I've seen, everything from Jason Tatum, which I don't really see. I don't know. I see Jason
Tatum's
Tatum
way more athletic, no?
And a little more skilled offensively, coming out of college, I think. But I don't know. I'm trying to think of, I've seen Aaron Gordon, I've seen Kawhi Leonard, I've seen a lot of wild comps, but I don't know if there really is one.
It's
I think he could be yeah, I think just because, defensively he's going to be good and keep getting better. And I think it's a tough comp. I think he's kind of in a lane of his own, but to your point, he's stepping into a great situation where he doesn't have to do too much. A lot of these number one picks have to come in and, they're expected to score 20 plus a night. It's a lot of pressure. He can kind of, grow into his game out there in Dallas. So, I don't know, Aaron Gordon, type of player, a better Aaron Gordon potentially. So I don't know. A comp for him is tough. Comp for some of the other players in the lottery were easier for me.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. Cooper's a tough comp. I really think that if he continues to give the same level of effort, he has an opportunity to be, for sure, an all-star. But generational talent's tough. He's also 18, man. Look where Kobe went in the draft when he came in at 18. Obviously, he didn't play in college, but, there's not a lot of folks that come in outside of LeBron that are, that age that have that much expectation tied to them already. I would love to see him be that guy. But I just, I love Cooper Flagg's game again, but I don't, there are some guys like, maybe Dylan Harper that could be, better long-term NBA players.
I love his game. Dylan Harper's game. He probably has my favorite game out of everybody in the draft. He's very much like a Shea where he just plays at his own pace. He's not like wildly athletic, but athletic enough, plays with angles and, using his body to create contact, just a smooth player, 3-level scorer, really, really good. It's interesting there in San Antonio, though. They have, quite a few guards that they're dealing with now, right? You got the reigning Rookie of the Year on that team, as well as De'Aaron Fox, and now you have Harper. So it'll be interesting to see, who fits and maybe who's the odd man out. But I love Harper's game, man. I think he's going to be great. And the Spurs, you had to take them. So I love Harper. And then right after Harper, you have, the number 3 pick, which Edgecombe out there in Philadelphia, just a freak athlete. I think even in, Philadelphia now that they have an embarrassment of riches at guard. From everything you read and you see, they love Jared McCain, who obviously got hurt last year, but before he got hurt was playing great, was potentially, on his way to rookie of the year. So he's obviously a kid that can shoot, local kid out here, in Southern California. Grew up in Sacramento, but played out, in Southern California in high school. But he was playing great. And obviously you got Tyrese Maxey. Now you have Edgecombe. You still have Edwards too on that team, who was, a great player, coming out of Kentucky, who a high level scorer. So obviously Paul George is, the guy that you're looking at, where he's not a part of the future, but you have a great core of young guards that you can build around. And then the Embiid thing is still tricky, right? But I think going Edgecombe was, I guess the upside with him was just too good to pass up. I mean, one of the best athletes in this draft, and is going to be a good player for a long time. And then another Dookie at 4 and Con Knipple. When you look at Edgecombe, people are thinking maybe Ace Bailey, but about the Ace Bailey, drama and not working out for teams, and we'll get into him in a second. And then maybe you're thinking that he's going to go to Charlotte, but nope, Charlotte takes Con Knipple. So what you think of that pick at 4?
I like that pick at 4, man.
Yeah, I do.
I
Yeah,
like it.
solid.
I mean, he's got a little bit of size to him. He's got a good game.
Mm-hmm.
Also young, man. Also very, very young. I do like that pick. I to your point with Ace Bailey, it's like, some people look at it and go, I don't care. I'm going to draft him. I'm going to get him for 4 years. And it is what it is. Like, he's going to figure it out. Like, I know Steph didn't want to go to Golden State. He wanted to go to New York. Right. So, and then there's the other school of thought that's like, well, if they're going to be a problem and they're not going to want to commit to the process, then maybe we don't do it. So that's a tough one. That's a tough, kind of decision to make. I like that choice though.
Yeah, and when you got LaMelo and Brandon Miller, obviously 2 high level scorers. I think Khan fits good. He's a solid player and a good defender, a willing defender, and a good defender who's going to knock down shots. I've seen comps of like Desmond Bain and different things for him. He's going to knock down shots. He's going to play smart. He's strong. He's tough. He fits in. He's a different type of player than what you have already. And I think it was, the smart pick for Charlotte.
Well, I like anyone that's 6'7" that is not only a defender, a willing defender, and they can knock shots down. I mean, there's never you can never have too many guys like that.
Yep, give me Colin all day, man. And then at 5, Danny Ainge said, "I don't care if you want to come here or not. You're coming, drafting Ace Bailey." And look, for all intents and purposes, Ace Bailey just has been getting some pretty damn bad advice. I think he's a kid, dude, right? He's a kid.
Yeah, man.
You have adults telling you to do this, and that. And I guess as a kid, you just assume that they have your best interest in mind. You listen to people who are telling you what to do, right? You think they're in your corner. His agent, who, for people that probably know, is Sharif Cooper's dad. I don't know if you even want to call him an agent. I don't know.
I don't think he's technically certified by the league, right? So he's just an advisor.
No, I guess, but he's out there looking like he's Alpo from Paid in Full, and you got to look at the kid. You're like, damn, does he really have Ace's best interest in mind? Right? Yeah. Probably not. So I know Ace doesn't want to go to Utah. I mean, let's be honest. Like, who wants to go to Utah, right? But
nope.
You're going to the NBA, man. I mean, there are so many kids out there who it doesn't matter where it is. They could be in Afghanistan. They're like, I will play there, right? So Ace Bailey, for someone in his shoes, the most important thing for him is to go into a situation that's best for him from a basketball standpoint, obviously, because if you can go to a place that you want to be, it may be LA or New York, or a place where you can party and hit the club and there's restaurants and there's nightlife, but it's a bad basketball situation for you, you're not going to play, you're not going to excel. And then when it comes time to, get a contract, go to Utah, which is a better place for you from a basketball standpoint. You'll get to play. If you're in a better environment, right, then you're going to get your numbers. You'll get player time. You'll develop. And then when it's time to make the money, which is what you're going to the NBA to do, then you can make a decision. Maybe you want to leave in free agency and you'll be able to get the bag, or you can go to a place where you can be the man. You can be in Miami and have the nightlife and all the stuff that you want to do. It's a worse situation from the basketball standpoint. And then your career just kind of, never takes off the way it's supposed to. So these kids got to be smart. They don't know what they don't know. Bad advice. I think from a basketball standpoint, it's a great place for Ace Bailey to be. And he has to just show up and show out and hoop, man. I mean, you don't got to live there the whole year. You're traveling during most of the year anyway. In the off season, go live wherever you want to live.
Yeah, I mean,
You know what
I
I mean?
think with the NIL's got them looking at it the wrong way, right? They're already getting paid, and so he's like, well, if I drop to 7 or 9 or 10 or whatever, and I go where I want, I'll make the money up because I'm in a bigger market and my shoe contract's going to be higher. All my endorsements are higher than they will be in Utah, and maybe that's what they're looking at, which isn't, to your point, the correct thing because anyone that's an athlete or a musician or anyone in this type of role, like all the other stuff that you like and that you want to do fashion, right? You want to do whatever. If you're not the man in what you're doing, then that stuff's not going to happen, right? And so
Yep.
you need to prove that you're that guy at this level. And if you do that correctly, to your point, you go live in LA in the off season or go play in LA after a few years. But you need to
Yep.
have the best basketball situation. I mean, you're what is he 19, right? So
Yep.
you need some opportunity to grow up. I mean, he's still a kid, right? You're going to become a young man in the next few years. Your body's going to develop. You're going to get stronger. And if you have a good infrastructure around you and a good basketball situation, I mean, you have an opportunity to really accelerate that second and third contract. So, you know,
Absolutely. So he went there. Then we got Trey Johnson to,
hey,
to,
real
to
quick,
Washington.
do you
Yeah.
think we're going to see a lot more of this? Like, I don't want to call it manipulation, but like, trying to tell teams where you're going to go in the future
Pro-
now that the NIL and stuff.
Probably, but I don't know if it's going to work, and I think that this might deter people from trying to do that. Because again, Danny Ainge and the Utah Jazz are like, we're not budging. We're drafting you. You're coming here. You don't have a choice. What are you going to do? Right. So it'll be interesting to see how the rest of this plays out. But I think, again, kids and, bad advice. I think they're always going to try to manipulate and go where they want to go, but I'm not sure that they're going to have footing to be able to do that. But yeah, I mean, NIL changes a lot of things, man. It really
Also,
does. So
I wonder if there's any level of like NBA involvement where they're like, yo, y'all need to pick this kid to show everyone that they're not in charge because the NBA
mhm.
needs that, you know, people happy to be there is the way that it works, like
Right.
happy to get drafted. Nobody's up there being upset generally. So I wonder if there's any level of that where they're going to make sure that, you know, that the control isn't in the kids coming out of college's hands.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But it's really not. So I know there've been manipulation in the NFL before when you look at like Eli Manning and some of this other stuff. But for the most part, you go where you get drafted, and the team has control over that, and you can't just pick and choose. So it'll be interesting though. I mean, we'll see, and we'll see how that turns out in Utah, who I thought had a overall good draft, which we'll get into here in a second. Again, we'll round out six. We had Trey Johnson, high level shooter and scorer, love his game. So Washington, um, you know, lucked out there. I think they wanted Ace Bailey, but Trey Johnson is obviously a really good consolation prize. Jeremiah Fears to the Pelicans, boomer bust player, a really good shifty, quick guard, good handle, can get to the basket. Needs to work on the shooting, but that's a player that hopefully can develop. So, um, and then you have Denman going to the Nets, who we'll get into, and Murray Boyle is going to Toronto. He didn't look like he was too happy to go to Toronto. I don't know if you saw his reaction when he
No,
got
I did.
drafted, but yeah, that was pretty funny. But yeah, and then we got Malawaksh going to the Phoenix at 10. So when you look at, I guess, the draft or the first round as a whole, who do you think were, some winners and who are losers in regards to teams?
I mean, it's super easy to go San Antonio as a winner, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you get the set consensus number 2 pick. You get Carter Bryant at 14, who's 6'8". He's 18 years old. I mean, I watched probably more University of Arizona basketball than any other college basketball this year. Obviously, just a lot of my friends went there, and just the progression that he had from the beginning of the season till the end of the season at tournament time was complete. I mean, he completely transformed in that year. So I think his ceiling's really high. And then obviously, if you add that to the youth that they have already, right? I mean, it's unparalleled. I mean, if this team was in the East, they'd be tough. So I mean, I really like the Spurs draft. Obviously, the Suns got lucky with the big man falling to 10, and you draft
Mm-hmm.
Fleming, who's a big shooter, a big wing player, and then you got a high ceiling. I say low floor though.
Yeah,
Picking
for sure.
Kobe Brea, right? We don't know where that's going to go. It always makes me a little nervous with the things that the organization has done and the situation that this kid's going to get put into, right? We'll see though. I think the Suns overall had a fairly decent draft. It does bother me they traded 2 picks for Mark Williams though, so I think that's included. Um, Although again, I don't think KD is going to win the MVP. They still traded all their draft picks for KD, so I mean, I don't know if that counts as a winning draft or not, but that's something that I look at because you're using your assets, whether it's for right or wrong. So, I have a couple losers here, but why don't you give me your winners if you have anyone that's different?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think San Antonio had a great draft. Dylan Harper, again, love his game. I think he's going to be a great guard in the NBA for a long time. And Carter Bryant, a 3-and-D guy who's young, has good size, athletic. I think he's in the perfect spot. So those are 2 really good players. So I
Really
love
good.
their draft. I also like Utah, man. So I like Ace Bailey. Then they were able to get Walter Clayton Jr. at 18,
Walter Clayton
who
Jr. can hoop, man.
he can hoop, man, right? He's undersized, obviously, but he's a great shot maker. And who knows, how he'll do in the NBA. Almost like Fred Van Fleet type, maybe a little bit more athletic, and just can hit a shot, can create, can get to the basket. So I like taking a swing at with Walter Clayton Jr. So you got 2 high level scoring guards in the draft. So I love what Utah did as well. But I'd agree. I think San Antonio love what they did, and I love what Utah did as well.
And he's not afraid of the big moment, which we learned in the tournament. So
He's a winner,
he
man. Yeah.
he is. You
Yep.
always love that. Always.
Yep. Yep. And then who do you think kind of whiffed this year in the NBA?
I mean, I don't like how New Orleans got to the homie from Maryland. Trading down essentially, right?
Mm-hmm.
It could be one of the worst trades in a long time. I mean, you can't include Luka in that, right? Because obviously
All
that's
right.
completely different. I think I
Agree.
like their 7th pick a lot, and I think the 3rd pick PV is someone that I don't know, man. That's more of a fringe player to me. So I
Mm-hmm.
think they struggled a little bit. Obviously, they got Jordan Poole, which they made it a little bit of a trade there. I don't know, man. We'll see. I don't know what your thoughts are on their draft. I got a couple other ones that kind of I feel like struggled in the draft as well.
Yeah, and I was just curious on what Brooklyn was doing. I like the guard out of BYU. I don't know if I would have taken him at 8. In addition to, they had so many draft picks, and they used all of them. They got a lot of quite a few guards. The first 2 picks or first 3 picks were guards. So clearly they don't like what they have. They got Danny Wolf. I kind of like Danny Wolf though at 27, big man from Michigan who has guard like ability and can score. But yeah, I don't really know what Brooklyn was doing. I maybe would have tried to package some of those picks and did some other things. So didn't love Brooklyn's draft, and I'm with you. New Orleans trading up for Derek Queen, who I like, but just that was interesting what they gave up to get him there. So
Yeah,
I
I mean,
would
I would
say.
say too with Brooklyn, fundamentally, I just don't think you win with 5 first-round picks. You've got to package them, whether it's for
Mhm.
an existing player or a much higher draft pick. In this draft for someone that you really like, it seems kind of like if you're taking 5 picks that you're not really sure what to do, or maybe they tried something and it didn't work out. I like trading those assets for something that can make an impact.
And they need a lot. So,
They need a lot.
yeah, I mean that's a draft. We'll see what these guys do, but it'll be interesting. Looking forward to the summer league. That's one of the things I always love is to watch the summer league. Have went a couple times out there in Vegas, so hopefully a lot of these guys get out there and play, and we can get a glimpse of
Yeah.
how they're looking. So, that'll be good.
I also say taking Yang Hansen was a stretch too. It's at
Yang,
16. He's
yeah,
gonna,
our
bro.
boy, yeah.
He's gonna get put in perimeter action and stuff like that. I don't know, man. I mean, obviously he's 7 feet tall or 7'1", whatever he is, but that's a stretch for me. I don't know.
I'd agree.
He's gonna have a hard time.
Yeah. Yang was an interesting one as well. I thought he was going to be late first round, but they
I
snatched him
think
at
they had him
16.
going, yeah, late first, early second. Took him in the middle of the first round. So
So look, we're on the heels of NBA free agency on the eve, right? So now what I'm going to ask, we're going to play a little game here, Matt, and we're going to, have the listeners. I want them to do this too, do their own exercise, and then hit us up and let us know what you would have done. But what we're going to do here, we're going to act as GMs. I want you, and we'll both do it, but I want you to build a starting five going into next year as a GM with $100 million cap. So you have $100 million to build a starting five. And this is for the salaries for the 2025-2026 season. I know you've had some time to think about it. I have mine. I want you to go through yours. Tell me who you picked,
I can't
right?
wait to see. I can't wait to
Tell
see.
me who you picked. And I want people to tell us whose team you think, would win, in a straight up game. This wasn't that easy. I assumed Matt would have came off the top because he loves Steph so much and just blown 60 mil off rip on Steph Curry. But you told me you didn't do that, man. So why don't you go through and tell me how you spent that $100 million, and then I'll do mine.
So the only benefit to choosing Steph would be that you and I would get to play with him in the season because there wouldn't be any money left, bro. And that was the first thing I did is you start at the top initially, right? Top 10
Mm-hmm.
players from a salary standpoint, and then you realize, well, I need to reverse engineer this. Where's the value? So I initially go, let me look at TJ McConnell. And so I started with him at my point guard, and I started, continuing to build. And then I'm trying to build, all five positions, which I ended up not doing. So I'm going to tell you essentially, should we just go back and forth like point guard, two guard, or should I just give you my whole team?
We can go back and forth, and I guess let everybody know how much you spent on your point. Then we'll go down, and then make sure that the math adds up, bro. Because if you spent $102 million, you're disqualified. It's got to be.
I spent 100. Well, I rounded off the hundreds of thousands. I just stuck like I rounded up or I rounded down, so it could be a little off, right? So I think like Shea was 37 in high up, like 37.8 or something. So I put him at 38. So even though I guess he's arguably not a point guard, but I put SGA as my point guard.
I like
38
it. How
million.
much? 38 million? That's good. That's real good.
That's a good value.
Great value. I probably should have done that. I went with Brunson at my point guard. Everybody knows Brunson took a pay cut, so he's just south of 35 mil. So he's at $34.9 million. I went with Jalen Brunson, who is good value since he's selfless. Selfless Nick took a little bit less money. So at my one, I got Brunson at just about 35 mil.
This is where my team gets weird. Is I essentially have three, power forward, small forward, power forwards, right? I got a big team, so you might have a problem. It's going to sound crazy when it goes. So I went Paolo Banchero at 12 million is going to play the two, or really, well, I'm going to have three threes, I call it, but Paolo at 12 million.
I like that. I took Austin Reeves at just
he's a good value.
Just south of 14. So I got Brunson and Reeves in my backcourt. Not the most defensive centric backcourt, but got some playmakers, and we'll have to make up for it with the rest of the roster on defense. But I got Brunson and I got Austin Reeves.
Okay, I like that. I almost went Reeves too. I'm looking at my chicken scratch, and Reeves is written down and then crossed out. Definitely a good value pick. At the three, I got Obi Toppin at 14 million.
Oh, okay.
So Obi Toppin. Good. So we got Paolo and Obi, and so I got a lot of length on my team. I got a lot of two-way players. I got essentially we could. SGA is the smallest player, so we could switch on everything the whole time, which was important to me in my 100 million. This exercise wasn't easy.
It wasn't. Obi kind of stepped into his own last year. Shot well in the playoffs. Athletic wing. I like that. I spent a little bit of money on my threes. A smaller three is really a two, but I went with Norman Powell, another shot maker. Norman averaged just around 22 points per game last year, 42% from
Cooper.
three, uh, at just north of 20 mil. But Hooper, solid defender. So I got Norman Powell as my other wing. So I got
I like Norman
Brunson,
Powell's
Reeves,
game a lot.
and Norman Powell right now.
Yeah, I like his game a lot. Yeah, it's interesting. You have a small team, and my team's probably too big. So we'll see. I wish we could run a simulation on this. At the four, I got Chet at 13 million,
Oh, okay. I like it. More length, and you're getting him for
and that's a discount.
really a
I would say.
discount for sure. He's going to step into a big contract.
Yeah,
Um,
he's about ready to get paid.
at my four, I have a player who's on your roster as well. I got Paulo Banchero, who is still on that deal. He's going to get paid, so we're getting him on the cheap right now. So I got Paulo at my four.
I like it. Banchero's ready to get paid. I mean, that's the
He
reality of
is.
all these players. You know, when you're building a roster for a defined amount in any sport, it's about what value can you get, who's about to get paid, and how long could they you not pay him, or do you pay him early?
That's right.
At my center, I got Jaren Jackson Jr. for 23, and that puts me right exactly at 100.
Ah, that's good. I like Jaren Jackson's game a lot. Good defender, can knock down the three. Um, that's a good pick. So I like Jaren Jackson. So even though you have size, you're still playing fairly small. You don't have a true center on the team. Jaren Jackson's more of a four or even a three. So I like that team. For mine, getting I think a future star on the cheap if he can stay healthy. Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah, that was the one.
Excuse me, like just north of 13 million, and that puts me right under $100 million.
70,
So
82. Yeah, 95, give or
we'll
take.
put we'll put so again my starting five as the GM with $100 million cap. Jalen Brunson at the one, Austin Reeves at the two, Norman Powell at the three, got Paolo at the four, and Victor Wembanyama at the five. And your team?
I got SGA, Banchero, Obi Toppin, Chet, Triple J. Want to know from the
Uh,
listeners? Throw it in the comments. Hit us up. Let us know which team do you think's winning in a 7 game series if they're healthy. Interested to see. I
and
mean, I like your team a lot, man. I think I think the Jalen Brunson to SGA for 3 million, man. That's a tough one.
That's tough. Yeah, that's tough. So I struggled. I went back and forth, and the players that you really want are making way too much money to actually build out a starting five. But you get the reigning MVP for that price. I think that's a steal. And
You
Brunson, I
also made a
needed some
starting
money.
five. I got a bunch of players.
It's all right. We
You know what
can,
I mean?
2K. I can run the simulation through 2K and see what happens. But I want everybody else out there to put their starting five together. Again, you have $100 million to play with. You can go to ESPN or Over the Cap or whatever and look at the salaries going into next year and let us know who you choose for your team. So fun
And what's crazy
exercise, man. Let's see.
when you do that, you start to see the players in the 30s and 40s. And as like obviously the NBA, people are making way more money than they ever have. It's incredible to see players that are making $30 million where you're just like, wow, like
It's
that's
nuts.
crazy money.
It is.
Yeah,
It is.
let us
So
know. Let us know who your team is, and maybe
yep.
I'll throw someone whoever comes up with the best team can get a rah rah room Lululemon zip up, shipped out to them. Right? You know what I mean? We got to support the rah rah room. So run this exercise. It definitely wasn't easy. So I'm glad you came up with it.
Love it. Dope. Now we're gonna do some rapid fire questions if you're ready.
Let's do it.
You ready for some of these?
Yeah, no,
So I'm gonna rattle off. First thing that comes to your head, man. All right, and I'll give you mine. I got a chance to think of them, um, and I want to know what you're thinking, and then I'll tell you what I'm thinking. Are you ready?
do it.
Fire off. All right, here we go. Best player in the NBA today.
Jokic,
We agree there. Check mark. Jokic. Best player of all time.
MJ,
Bam. 2 for 2. I got MJ too. All right, here we go. Best WNBA player of all time.
I mean, that's a double edged sword for me. I'm going to have to say Diana Taurasi because she holds all the records. But I mean, I think those are going to be broken relatively soon. But Diana Taurasi probably has to be the GOAT now. I don't know where you stand there.
Yeah, no, I love Tarasi. Asia Wilson is been incredible the last 4 years. So people could look at her and what she's done and winning championships and MVPs and look at her as well. But we could say 3 for 3.
I
Who's the
wonder if
best player?
I was going to say I wonder if the Aces
Okay.
are in Phoenix. I saw at Global this weekend. I saw a couple people wearing Las Vegas Aces shirts, but they look like they were coaching staff. So I don't know if they're playing in
Oh,
Mercury or not, but it might have been.
you should go. You should go. You
I
should go,
would.
Matt.
Me
There you
too.
go. All right. Who's
Me
the best
too.
player in the Who's the best NBA player today?
I don't even think we got to ask this one. It's obviously Cece. Maybe you don't agree, but I mean, if I'm taking one player to start a team with, it's her.
Yeah, I'm going Angel Reese. I'm playing, not Caitlin Clark. We're going Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark. Who's the most
I mean, Angel Reese
overrated
does play like.
player?
Oh, go
Like
ahead.
what? Plays like
I was gonna
what?
say she plays like your boy Bron. She said they told her they said that she plays just like Bron, and she did model her game after Jordan, so she might be the best player.
Okay, maybe if LeBron was. I don't even know. Yeah. Okay. All right. If LeBron was blind, and in a wheelchair, maybe. Who's the most overrated player in the NBA?
This player probably irritates me as much as Tatum does. I'll say I'm gonna go Rudy Gobert.
Oh, that's good. I would say Rudy Gobert as well, honestly. I think he's widely known probably at this point as the most overrated player in the NBA. Another one that, I think is becoming overrated and making a lot of money is James Harden. He's a great player and always has been a great player. But at this point, I don't know about his value. He's just not a winner. Obviously, a Hall of Famer. So calling him overrated sounds crazy. It's just at this point in his career, going into next year, and the amount of money he's going to make. I just don't know if you can have James Harden on your team and win. And
Yeah, I mean, what is he? Is he just do 41 million or something like that next year?
yeah,
I think it was.
he's gonna make a ton. He played well last year, but you know, defense obviously offensively he's still great. He hasn't won. But I mean,
No,
MVP, one of the best offensive players probably we've ever seen in the game. I'm just talking about at this point. And I also think that if you would have asked me this in the beginning of the year, it would have been Halliburton. And still, we'll
especially with
see. I
how he
mean, he had a
started.
great listen. He had a great playoff, and I've been so hot and cold on Halliburton, but at the end of the day, yeah, he was playing hurt, but you know, he, I still think that maybe we're got to pump the brakes on him a little bit, but speedy recovery to Hallie. Who's the most underrated player in the NBA?
That's a tough one, man. I know I'm supposed to just spit something out here. Um, Man, underrated. Maybe Derek White. Maybe
Unappreciated
Derek
for
White.
sure. Yeah,
And the
yeah.
reason I say that is I hated on him pretty hard. And then when he got his seat on the Olympic team and they're playing, they took him over Jaylen Brown, first of all. And then he's playing over Jason Tatum, which I get, from a defensive standpoint. And just like this, you can't have five scorers out there, I suppose, but which he can score. I mean, I guess it's got to be Derek White, and it's mostly because of how I perceived him in my head. You know,
Hmm.
go back to when Shaq and Chuck were killing him on his hairline a few years ago, and then he came back with his head shaved. I mean, he just doesn't get a whole lot of respect, and now he's a top one of the a better player in the NBA. So I mean, I think if we did it at the beginning of the year, it would certainly have to be Derek White. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, his hairline was terrible. Let's just get that out the way. He had like the homie the clown joint. His hairline
He's got the slow mo
was
hairline, or
crazy.
pretty close to
I
it.
Yeah, oh yeah, hairline is rough too. I like the Derek White pick. Honestly, like before the playoffs, I say Andrew Nemhard, and he's not not a superstar by any means. I think people got a new appreciation for him during the playoffs. Just a tough defender, can knock down shots, has a nice offensive game. He didn't shoot particularly well, especially in the finals, but I think underappreciated. But I think you're going to see him, eventually get a nice size contract. So I think that Nemhard is a player that I'd love to have on my team that didn't get enough respect, but people got to see him and what he does in the playoffs. And I think that's starting to change a little bit. So
yeah, I like
Matt,
that pick.
Matt, who's the best NBA team of all time? I think I know who you're going to say, but who's
You
the
know what
best
I'm going to
NBA
say?
team of
The
all time? I
16,
do.
17 Warriors, right?
I'm not mad
16
at
and
that.
1, 16 and
I'm
1.
not mad at that.
Obviously they had a couple games in that 16. Obviously the Cavs took one and they had a couple that they could have lost, but I mean that team was dominant.
Probably the
You
most
know,
talented team of all time, for sure.
unless you go
I,
like 96, 97 Bulls or something. I don't
I'm
know.
going, yeah, 95, 96 Bulls. That's what I'm going with, man. Just because from my childhood and that team, uh, yeah, I think that's the best team of all time. But if someone tells me that Warriors team, I'm not arguing that. That was an embarrassment of riches and probably like nothing we've ever seen before. I don't know if you heard DeMarcus Cousins talking on podcast last week, but he said it got so disrespectful that those guys were so good that they'd come out with 5 minutes left in warm-ups to start warming up because they didn't need the full time. And Steve Kerr was telling these dudes like, yo, y'all got to stop this shit. This is disrespectful to the other team, but they were able to do it because they were just that good. So look, everybody knows me, know how much I love LeBron, and watching those series when KD was on that team with Steph, Draymond, Clay. There's no chance. Like no team was beating them. They're just too talented, too good offensively. It was, that team was a wrecking ball. You aren't beating them, so I'm not mad at your pick there.
I mean, I would say if I wasn't a Warriors fan, I mean, I'd probably go with, 94, 95, or 95, 96, 96, 97 Bulls. I mean, obviously, you know what I mean? Nobody was beating them either, but you almost felt bad for Bron or anyone that's playing them because it's just like you're going through the motions. You need to show up. It's the finals. It's the Western Conference Finals. You know what I mean? Whatever it is. And you just know that there's pretty much no chance. You just know. I mean, so many of those big shots that KD hit or Clay hit or, you know what I mean, in during those playoffs, there wasn't anyone that thought that anyone had a chance, so it's a tough one. If you take that out, though, I'm going with your pick as well.
All right, so we're aligned there, too. All right, this is a good one, man. What's the GOAT or the best NBA jersey of all time?
I mean, I got a few.
You rattle off a few. What are your favorites?
I like the Phoenix All-Star Game jerseys in 1995 with the saguaro cactus. Those are still,
Fire.
even though that's not a real NBA jersey, that's just the one when I see it, I'm like, damn, I love that jersey. When I first started watching hoops, it was the early on Chicago script in the black on the red jersey that Jordan wore. So that's like the first one that I remember, right? So I love that one. I loved the all white with the black stripe Orlando Magic jerseys that Penny and Shaq wore.
Tough.
Love those. And then I'd say, my favorite more recent jersey, I think, would have to be what do they call it? The Miami Vice jerseys with the with the pink and the baby blue.
You like those? Yeah, colors
that the Heat wear. Love those. I just love those jerseys. I don't know why, but I love that color combination on pretty much on anything.
Yeah, no, I love those picks. As a kid, I used to love that, like the 1992 Larry Johnson, Alonzo Mourning, Charlotte Hornets jerseys. I just love the teal with the the purple pink stripes. I don't know why, but as a kid, those jerseys just in the Hornet logo, I thought was just so sick as a kid. And I had the shorts, and I wasn't even a Hornets fan. I just liked the colors, so I love those jerseys and love the Orlando Magic and the black and red pinstripe Bulls jerseys as well. So those are good picks. What about college, man? Oh, go ahead.
College. Oh, no, I was going to say, I was going to say I had the Larry Johnson pinstripe jersey. I love Grandmama, man. Love
Grandmama, yeah.
Shout out UNLV. Shout out UNLV.
Yep.
College jersey, man. That's tough.
Greatest of all time. What's your GOAT college jersey?
I mean, the Pitt script for me.
Okay.
Anything with the Pitt script on it, which they recently brought it back and they can't play basketball at all. I love that, obviously. Classic is the Jordan Carolina jerseys, just because, again, like that's the clip you see every tournament, when they're playing Georgetown, right? But I also love Georgetown. Allen Iverson got me into basketball, got me into college basketball when I was, fifth grade, sixth grade. So I'm going to have to go probably that North Carolina, that baby blue.
Love that. I had the North Carolina baby blue shorts and the warm up shirts and jerseys used to wear to school. I think
Fire.
mine though is that like the 1995 era Georgetown when you had AI and even like Victor Page and those boys. I just love those
Dude,
jerseys.
that gray
And
jersey, with the cutoff shirts under them.
Yep, and the script on the side, and
Yeah.
those were so hard. I love those jerseys so much. So
I got Lucky Shorts 3s on right now. Speaking of the Carolina blue,
love them. Dope. Hell yeah.
Go.
All right, let's get to the shoes. Let's get to the shoes, man. What are the greatest shoes all time for you to hoop in, to actually play in?
Penny ones with the black and white. My
Mm-hmm.
favorite, 7th grade. My most comfortable shoes. I actually have a pair of dead stocks of those still. I try to put them on to wear them to a Suns game, and it's just like I just can't wear them. I wore the all white penny ones. You know what I mean? I wore those to a Suns game. Can't wear the black, but they're my favorite shoes to hoop in. They're so comfortable, and they were like kind of sort of ahead of their time to hoop in.
Love it. Love them. I had the same thing. I had the penny ones, or actually the penny twos as well. When I was in high school, those penny twos treated me well. I had some good games in the penny twos, but the penny ones and twos and the Air Zoom Flight 5s. If you don't know, look those up. They're just I don't know why. I don't know why. I just they're so comfortable to me, and I used to hoop in them. I had the whites and the blacks. Used to play in those, and more recently as an adult, the Kobe 6s, but the penny ones, twos, and the Air Zoom Flight 5s were the ones that I don't know. They're just comfortable. I played in those.
The Zoom Flight 5s giving the Grant Hill vibes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I used to love those shoes as a kid. So what about, I guess, hoop shoes to wear casually? What are your GOAT hoop shoes to wear, like with jeans or just casually if you're going out? What kind of shoes would you say are your favorite of all time?
I'm going 3s and then 1s and then books and then books. And books, I mean, for those that don't know, obviously outside of Phoenix, I mean, in Arizona, it's hard to not see people wearing them, but they're comfortable and you could definitely rock with jeans for sure. I'll wear those, but I'd say 3s, 1s, and then books.
Those are comfortable. If you get the books, go size up.
You're going 1s. You're going 1s.
Ones,
yeah, you get the books,
OG,
at least a half size up. Yep.
OG high 1s are my favorite, shoe of all time. They're just classic. They're the first shoe I ever got introduced to as a kid because my dad had the bread OG high 1s. Remember seeing them and loving the shoe. And I still love them. I wish Nike would stop releasing 1,000 colors of all these shoes and diluting the Jordan brand, but Jordan OG high 1s. And I'm also a big fan of the 4s. I love the 3s too. So the 1s, the 4s, and the 3s are my favorite, but I have to pick the 1s and the 4s, for me. So
4s are probably my third favorite Jordans.
Mm-hmm, for sure. As a kid, though, I mean, iconic obviously would be the 11s. The patent leather. That was just a breakthrough, shoe when I used to play in those, and obviously those are just historic. But the 1s and the 4s definitely for me. Let me ask you this: did you ever rock? Oh, so that's interesting. The first pair of Jordans I ever had were actually the Jordan 10s. So I remember my dad took me to World Foot Locker. So I don't know if you guys have ever had World Foot Locker out your way, but it was basically Foot Locker that was just big as hell. It was called World Foot Locker, and I never had a pair of Jordans before. I was in the 7th grade, and I remember we walked in there. I wanted those shoes so bad. Got the white Jordan 10s, and those are my first Jordans I ever had. What about you?
All black Jordan 8s with the straps and the 23 peace sign, like the plush 23 peace sign. I didn't even hoop in them, man. I just wore them. Like I thought, because we always hooped outside, I always thought that I would ruin them if I hooped in them. So I just didn't hoop in them.
You're right.
Those were the ones though, man. I remember I actually have a pair of those now, which I honestly can't bring myself to wear them anywhere. But I do have a pair of dead stock of those. I can't wear them. I got them like 5 years ago.
After that, like I got Jordans every year to hoop in. So my 8th grade year is when the 11s came out, and I got them. I remember the patent leather joints, and I wore them the first game, and we were at some court, and the court was dirty, so I kept slipping, and my mom was like, "We're returning those shoes." She's like, dude, we paid fucking, $100 and some for those shoes. You're slipping, we're returning them. I was like, Mom, it's the floor. They ain't clean the floor. I convinced her to let me keep them, and it worked out. But yeah, ever since then, man, after my dad caught me those Jordans, I always wanted them when I was younger. He was never getting them for me. Then finally got me the 10s, and it was on from then. And in addition to Jordans, though, growing up, like jackets was like, the starter jackets, all those jackets. Did you have a starter jacket? If you did, what was your favorite starter jacket that you had, or that you wish you had that you didn't get?
I had three of them. The GOAT is the all black Raider zip up, the black zip up with just the Raider logo on the back. I mean, obviously that was iconic, is iconic. I had a Florida State one just like that. I used to go to baseball clinics every summer, invite only baseball clinics in Tallahassee. So I was actually, that was always a good time. They called me DC. They picked me up from the airport. I came in a day early because not very many people flew in. That was my granddad's Christmas present to me every year, was a trip down there if I got invited. So Florida State. And then I have one that I don't even want to admit that I had. Man, I don't know how I ended up with this, but it was a Penn State pullover.
Oh,
Penn State pullover starter.
Penn
I have no
State?
idea. Obviously I went to Pitt, so that like kills me to begin with. But I don't know where the Penn State one came from. I loved Kajana Carter and Kerry Collins.
Oh, he was. Oh, Kajana Carter was a beast, running back. He was nasty.
I know.
Yeah, he's sick.
I know. So I think that's where. And that dude, you reminded me of something. I mean, I don't talk to a whole lot of people that I grew up with, but when you said Charlotte Hornets, it reminded me of the girl I had, the first girl I ever had a crush on. So if anyone listens, they might remember, because how many people had an all black Charlotte Hornets starter jacket? The black.
We gotta find her.
With the horn on the back, dude. Bro,
that's sick.
I forgot until you mentioned that I remembered that was the first girl I ever had a crush on. And the crazy thing is I had a crush on her, and one of her friends was like super bad, and she had a crush on me, and the girl that I liked tried to get me to like set me up. It was like 6th grade dance or something with her friend, and I said no, and I tried to like go this way. I went left, and it didn't work, and then like I never went back right, but it was that Charlotte Hornets starter jacket that, that it reminded me of her when you said the Larry Johnson Charlotte thing. I haven't thought about that in can't even remember how long. It's crazy.
Damn, yeah. If a girl had a Chicago Bulls jacket or a bat, I was in love. So I'm with you on that. But I had the Michigan starter jacket. I thought it was I loved.
That's fire.
The Fab Five always, obviously, with Jalen Rose, Weber, King, all those boys, Juwan Howard. It was I loved those teams. I loved the Michigan football teams with Desmond Howard. So I had the Michigan jacket. And my prized possession, though, when I was younger, though, if anybody remembers the chalk line jackets, I had a Michael Jordan chalk line, and the chalk line jackets were like the shit when I was growing up. And I had a Jordan chalk line, and I wish I still had it. I had no idea what it was. It wouldn't fit me anymore, but I wish I still had that jacket. So the chalk lines,
the crazy graphic jacket.
Yeah, exactly right. If y'all remember those, if y'all have one, let me know which one you had. But the Jordan one was sick, and it was my favorite thing ever. So the Michigan starter jacket, then the Jordan chalk line were, to me, like, everything, man. I would have given a leg for those things when I was younger. So
dude, they were. I mean, dude, where my dad lived, in Jersey, man, you're getting robbed for that. You have a starter jacket on, or a pair of J's.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I only saw him. I would go up there a couple times a year, and sometimes around Thanksgiving I'd go. So you'd have like the Florida State starter jacket on. You got to kind of look, keep an eye on where you're at, though. Yeah, those were the ones, man. There's nothing like that anymore. You know what I mean?
No,
like, there's just not. I mean, you can buy the starter jackets off Mitchell and Ness now, I think, but it's like, you know what I mean?
Not the same. Sometimes I go to these throwback or antique stores and look at throwbacks, and sometimes I'll cop one or two, but nothing like the ones when we were growing up. So we both have had the opportunity over the years to visit a lot of NBA arenas. So let me ask you, Matt, what is the best NBA arena?
I mean, I think been to. If you asked me 2 years ago, I don't know what I would answer, but Chase Center is. I mean, I think Chase Center is the best NBA arena there is. It's loud, it's nice. Like, It's easy to get in and out. Like if you're sitting in good seats, the little clubs are really close. Whereas if you're in Phoenix, which they did a great job renovating the arena there, but like some of the seats, you have to walk all the way across the whole court to get where you're going. So Oracle was one of my favorite NBA arenas, even though it wasn't nice because it was jumping in there. And I think you've been to all of these ones that I'm mentioning. Obviously MSG special, right, as of what it is, but it's just not nice, but it's special. So it's iconic. There's an aura when you go in there. But I'm going to go Chase Center. What about you?
I went MSG. It's the Mecca. It's New York. To your point, it's not the nicest, right? They could probably do some renovations, but it's just a feeling when you go to MSG. When you pull up, you're in the city. You pull up outside of MSG. It's just got an aura. All the games and all the historic performances that have happened in there. I got to go with MSG. On the flip side, what's the worst?
Man, I got two.
Okay. What do you got?
I think they call it Capital One Arena now, where the Wizards play. That place is a graveyard. Not only because of the basketball that happens in there isn't great, but everything about it's tough. If you're in like decent seats and there's a club, you're walking. You might as well be past the locker room by the time you find it. And it's not nice at all. It's set up. It looks like they're in a pop up like every game. It doesn't look like they have anything set up for it. And then I'm gonna put just in line with that. I think they call it Frost Bank in San Antonio. Just not. Everything about that just wasn't it, man. And their team's so good now. They're gonna have to get a new one or renovate that thing soon.
Wasn't it? Matt and I went there. What was it? This past November? It was not it, man. I was not a fan of that arena. We had a good time, obviously, watching hoops and stuff, but the arena itself, boy. And with Wembanyama and some of these other players, make some renovations to that place. It was
bro. You got a good young team for a long time. We saw CP there. It was cool, but it definitely wasn't it from a stadium standpoint.
Wasn't it?
If you're a prospect or a free agent, and the facilities, there's no way the facilities there are any good. You know what I mean? There's just not. I don't know. Like in Phoenix, for example, they got the practice facility directly next to Global. Shout out Dylan Brooks. I was in the bathroom and wifey texted me. She's like that guy from Houston is here. I think Brooks.
The guy everyone hates.
And I was like, yeah. And I'm hurrying up. Like I'm gonna try to come find him. And she's like, oh, he left. I was like, what'd you say to him? She's like, I froze up. But the Global Ambassador, which is the nice new hotel that just got built in Arizona, is directly next door to the practice facility, literally attached in the same parking lot. So that's in the nice part of town too. So if you're a player, everything's easy. You know what I mean? They have tons of Suns meetings there, and it's everyone goes there. There's a coffee shop in it. There's a couple of restaurants, and I think like Book and a bunch of the players are investors in it too. And so like when you have that kind of setup in a desirable location, you're going to get more free agents. So San Antonio is already tough, right? Being not one of the major cities in the state. So that stadium is, leaves a little bit to be desired. You know what I mean?
It does. And we won't get into what Charles Barkley says about San Antonio, but the arena itself.
Yeah, if you haven't watched it, go Google what Chuck says about San Antonio. I'm not going to say it on here.
Not on this pod. Not on this pod, but he's not a fan. He's not a fan. So, but yeah, the arena sucks. But we were watching hoop. We had a good time. One more question for you, bro. Who is your favorite college player of all time?
Based on my age and when I started watching, it's AI. I grew up not too far from there, so it's got to be AI. Him and Victor Page. AI and AI was so different then. He fit the Georgetown mold until he didn't, when he just bounced and did his own thing, which is one of the things I love about AI. Is he's just him. Doesn't really care, but he was, for all intents and purposes, the same size as, a regular person, jumped out of the gym, could shoot the ball. His crossover, nobody's checking that. He's leaving you out of the paint, or outside the 3-point line. He's in the paint. He was unguardable. He's banging on people. So I think he's probably my favorite player. When you ask that, it immediately goes to Reggie Bush, right?
Mm-hmm.
From, any sport, but AI is my favorite college basketball player.
Love that. With you, AI was my favorite player. It just was, he transcended. He was just a culture setter, like nothing I'd ever seen before, man. He was the reason I wore number 3. in high school, and then going into college, he was my favorite player by far. And then oddly enough, Felipe Lopez. If y'all know about Felipe Lopez back in the St. John's, I don't know why. I was a kid. I was a big fan of Felipe Lopez. My dad went to St. John's and was a big St. John's fan. So Felipe Lopez and those teams, back in the day with St. John's were fire, but just the whole Big East, back then when you had those guys and Kerry Kittles and even Ray Allen and those boys, that's when to me college basketball was the best, but AI for sure.
You actually got one more. I was going to say, remember that game that Georgetown lost to UConn when Ray Allen was like 3 of 14 and was having one of the worst games, and he hit that elbow jump shot at the end of the game. Obviously, and I went to school in the Big East, right? And it was the Big East then. I mean, it was St. John's, it was Syracuse, Pitt, Georgetown, Villanova. I mean, that was when college basketball was at its peak, I think. I mean, I love that. You're winning a game 59-56. You know what I mean? You're getting beat up like a street fight in the middle of the game. So that was my favorite. That's my favorite basketball. We actually played Syracuse the year they won a chip, and it was in Pittsburgh, and it was Carmelo and Johnny Flynn, and Pitt beat Syracuse that year in the regular season, which that's how good we were back then. I think we were a 2 seed that year. But I love Big East basketball.
Peak of college basketball, man. Back then in the Big East, or nothing like it. So, one more question for you, actually. What's your favorite basketball movie of all time, if you have one?
Man, I mean, I don't know if it's the best basketball movie, but my favorite basketball movie is Above the Rim. I love Above the Rim. I love Birdie. Yep. I love that. I love the whole concept of it. I mean, the side you got Bernie Mac. I love the whole story. I also love White Man Can't Jump, and He Got Game too. I think He Got Game's probably the most iconic one because of Jesus, and Denzel Washington and that storyline. But I'm going to go Above the Rim. What about you?
I love that. Above the Rim is a basketball movie, man. We're going to give it to you. Tupac with a great performance. I love the soundtrack too. Download that if you haven't heard it. I used to love as a kid. I loved Hoop Dreams, which is a documentary that followed two kids. I remember my dad took me. Dad took me to see it. Arthur Agee and William Gates, and it was just a movie about two kids trying to make it down different paths in Chicago. And I don't know why it just resonated. I watched the movie a ton of times, but I'm with you though with Above the Rim as well, and He Got Game, which are iconic.
Well, so. Dude, Hoop Dreams was like the first documentary I saw, and I didn't understand it because I didn't know if it was a true story or not, or if it was a movie or what it was. Because there wasn't a lot of sports documentaries, so to speak. Then I remember watching that and loving that too.
Great film. Yeah. So awesome, man. That was the rapid fire questions. Everybody let us know what you liked and what you didn't, and maybe what are some of your favorites from the list of questions we just asked. So fire, man. I thought you were gonna answer those a lot worse than you did, dude. We're on the same page with a lot of them. So
damn, just that Kevin Durant take went that far, huh? I'm gonna screw those up.
Nah, brother. You're good. You're good.
What else you got, man? I mean, I like the format of this episode. Obviously, there's tons of music-related things that we need to talk about.
We're gonna go through that, in some pods. I want to hear, we're gonna have some music takes, definitely. I want to hear coming up what your top albums of all time are, your top 5 rappers, your top musicians. Period. There's a lot to get into on the music front, for sure, and I'm sure we'll have some varying opinions there, but. Music, a lot to get into with the music. Absolutely.
Yeah, man. Also, shout out to all the veterans and, everyone that helped, make America what it is. We got 4th of July, obviously. We're right on the heels of it. So shout out to everyone that served the country. Big day coming up. Thanks for tuning in. You know what I mean? It was, always have a lot of fun. We're getting our feet under us here. We got some really good guests lined up, for later in the summer. So thanks for listening. Appreciate you, Todd, man. Thank you for putting together a lot of the content for today. And we're out.
Appreciate you. Peace.